I was sitting alone in the restaurant, staring at my phone. My date was already 20 minutes late. No message. No explanation. Just when I was about to leave, a woman suddenly sat across from me. She smiled and said something I never expected. "Hi, my roommate isn't coming, so I'm here instead." And that's when the strangest night of my life began. I checked my phone again. Still nothing. The restaurant was slowly filling with couples enjoying their evening, laughing and sharing stories. Meanwhile, I sat there alone with two untouched glasses of water. My date's name was Emily. We had met online 2 weeks earlier. She seemed funny, smart, and easy to talk to. After several late-night chats, we finally decided to meet in person. But now, she was nowhere to be seen. I sighed and stood up, ready to leave. Then suddenly, "Are you Jason?" I turned around. Standing beside the table was a woman I had never seen before. She had long dark hair, a confident smile, and an energy that immediately caught my attention. "Yeah," I said slowly. "Who are you?" She pulled out the chair and sat down like she belonged there. "I'm Sophie," she said casually. I blinked. "Okay." She leaned forward slightly. "I'm Emily's roommate." My confusion grew. "And?" Sophie smiled. She got cold feet. "What?" She panicked about the date and refused to come. I stared at her, unsure whether to laugh or be annoyed. "So she sent you instead?" Sophie shrugged playfully. I volunteered. I couldn't help but laugh. "That's definitely a first." The waiter returned nervously. "Will your guest be joining you, sir?" Sophie raised her hand. "I'm the guest." And just like that, our unexpected dinner began. Chapter 2. A night that changed everything. At first, the conversation felt strange. After all, this wasn't supposed to be my date. But somehow, talking to Sophie felt incredibly easy. She was funny, honest, completely unpredictable. At one point, she admitted something that surprised me. "You know," she said while stirring her drink, "Emily actually warned me about you." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, really? What did she say?" "That you might be too nice." I laughed. "That's a weird warning." Sophie smiled. "Apparently she's used to dating guys who treat her badly." I shook my head. "Then she's missing out." Sophie looked at me carefully for a moment. Then she said something unexpected. "You know, when she told me she wasn't coming tonight, I felt bad for you." I tilted my head. "So you came to rescue me?" She laughed. "Something like that." But then her expression softened. "And also, I was curious." "About what?" I asked. She leaned back in her chair. "About the guy my roommate was too scared to meet." The night continued. Dinner turned into dessert. Dessert turned into long conversations about life, dreams, and embarrassing childhood stories. Hours passed without us noticing. Finally, the waiter came over with a polite smile. "Sir, we're closing soon." Sophie looked surprised. "Wait, it's already midnight?" We both laughed. Outside the restaurant, the city lights glowed around us. Sophie turned toward me. "So, funny story." "What?" I asked. "My roommate just texted." I raised an eyebrow. "And?" Sophie showed me the phone. Emily had written, "So, how is he?" I smiled. "What did you tell her?" Sophie looked at me for a second. Then she typed a reply. She showed me the message before sending it. It said, "Too late. I think I'm keeping him." And somehow, the date that was never supposed to happen turned into the beginning of something neither of us expected. For a moment, I thought Sophie was joking, but she actually sent the message. Emily replied almost instantly. "What?" Sophie laughed and slipped her phone back into her pocket. She's dramatic, she said. I shook my head, still smiling. So, what happens now? Sophie looked at the quiet street around us. Now, she said, now we walk. We started walking through the city lights, talking about everything and nothing. But after a few minutes, I noticed something strange. Sophie had gone quiet. You okay? I asked. She nodded, but something clearly bothered her. Finally, she sighed. There's something I should probably tell you. That sentence instantly made me nervous. Okay. She stopped walking and turned toward me. The truth is, Emily didn't just get cold feet. I frowned. What do you mean? Sophie hesitated. Then she said something unexpected. She didn't want to meet you. I blinked. Why? Sophie crossed her arms slightly. Because of me. My confusion doubled. You? She nodded slowly. I saw your profile first. Now I was completely lost. Wait, what? Sophie laughed awkwardly. This is going to sound bad. Try me. She took a deep breath. Emily and I share the same dating app account.
Ist daher.
You're serious? Yeah, she admitted. We started it as a joke. Sometimes we both talk to people. And you were the one who started talking to me? Sophie nodded. For the first few days, yes. My brain tried to process everything. So technically, I was talking to you the whole time. Mostly, she said quietly. And Emily? She took over later. I ran my hand through my hair. That explains why the messages suddenly felt different. Sophie looked a little guilty. Yeah. There was a long pause. Finally, I asked the obvious question. So tonight, you came because you felt bad? She shook her head.
No.
Then why? Sophie looked straight at me. Because when Emily said she didn't want to meet you, I realized I did. The honesty in her voice caught me off guard. Before I could respond, her phone buzzed again. She looked at the screen and groaned. Oh. What? Sophie turned the phone toward me. Emily had sent another message. I'm coming there right now. I blinked. Wait, what? Sophie sighed. She's jealous. Right then, headlights turned the corner of the street. A car stopped near the sidewalk. The door opened, and a woman stepped out. Sophie whispered under her breath. Yep, that's her. Emily walked toward us, arms crossed. She looked from Sophie to me, and back again. Then she said the most awkward sentence possible. So, which one of you is my date? And suddenly, the night became even more complicated. Emily stopped a few steps away from us. Her eyes moved between me and Sophie. The tension in the air was obvious. So, Emily said slowly, which one of you is going to explain this? Sophie crossed her arms. I already did. Emily looked at me, and I hesitated. Well, it's definitely the strangest first date I've ever had. Emily sighed loudly. I knew it. Knew what? Sophie asked. Emily pointed at her roommate. You always do this. Sophie frowned. Do what? You steal my dates. My eyes widened. Wait. This has happened before? Sophie looked embarrassed. Maybe once. Emily laughed sarcastically. Try 3 times. The situation was getting more awkward by the second. Finally, I spoke. Okay, hold on. Let's slow down. Both women looked at me. I rubbed my forehead. I came here to meet Emily. Emily nodded proudly. Exactly. But, I continued. Sophie showed up. Sophie raised a hand slightly. Technically, I rescued the date. Emily rolled her eyes. You hijacked it. The silence between them felt like a long history of friendly rivalry. Then Emily turned toward me. So, she said, Do you still want the date you originally planned? Sophie looked away. For the first time that night, she seemed nervous. The decision suddenly felt bigger than I expected. I looked at Emily. She was confident, bold, and clearly used to getting what she wanted. Then I looked at Sophie. She stood quietly now, her playful energy replaced by uncertainty. The truth hit me instantly. The best part of the night had been talking to Sophie. I took a slow breath. Then I said it. I think the date already happened. Both women looked confused. With who? Emily asked. I smiled slightly. With the person who actually showed up. Sophie looked shocked. Emily blinked. Then, after a few seconds, Emily suddenly started laughing. Both of us stared at her. You know what? She said. What? I asked carefully. She pointed at Sophie. I told you he was too nice. Sophie groaned. Oh my God. Emily turned and started walking back toward her car. Relax, she called out over her shoulder. I'm not mad. She looked back one last time. But you owe me dinner tomorrow. Sophie laughed nervously. Deal. Emily drove away. The street became quiet again. Sophie looked at me. So, that was chaotic. I laughed. Just a little. Then she asked softly, so what now? I shrugged. Well, the night isn't over yet. Sophie smiled again. The same smile she had when she first sat down at the table. And somehow, the most accidental date of my life was just getting started.